Now, police have made quite a major bust at a Devland scrapyard near Soweto. The raid was a joint operation between the SAPS, the JMPD, as well as Eskom, and piles of copper cables were confiscated there. The cables were stolen from Transnet Freight Rail, Prasa, Eskom, as well as City Power. Eskom Head of Security, Pillay, joins us now for more on this. And Karen, thank you so much for your time and good morning to you. Let's talk about this bust that you have, of course, uncovered near Soweto. What exactly is the extent of, what you've uncovered, particularly when it comes to copper cable theft?
Good morning, Tamalo. It's great to be on the show. So yes, in terms of the copper cable theft, I think it is quite a serious problem that we're experiencing. If you would look at the bus that uncovered all the scrap that was recovered, it was clearly indicative that it was large volumes of copper that was actually stolen from the various entities, which obviously has a major impact on our day-to-day operations as well as the cost of replacement of this particular infrastructure. It also leads to huge amounts of vandalism that actually negatively impacts, the replacement as well as the outage and interruption that we see happening so frequently now in terms of the power system.
I mean, what does this tell you, Karen, in terms of the work that you have to do? Looking at the pictures and the videos you're talking about, they're viral on social media. To me, it says this is a whole economy. It's a whole value chain. It's just not about, busting one or two people that are stealing these cables or these coppers. This is a whole business that's running here, and it seems like you have a lot of work ahead of you as Eskom in uncovering this and getting to the bottom of it.
Indeed, Tamalo. We have had to put in extensive effort as we have determined that many of our current strategies are probably ineffective. We have moved into unconventional ways of addressing security measures at our site. We're certainly seeing the effects of that, but we've also had to rally support between ourselves as state-owned companies, that being Transnet, Telkom and Prasa. And we're now putting in joint effort to fight off the scourge. You're quite correct in identifying that this is just beyond your petty criminals. It certainly does involve organized groups, very, very well equipped, very, very highly armed. And also, these individuals make off with large quantities of copper at any given time. So this requires multiple disciplinary efforts, and we are working therefore very closely with our counterparts, being the law enforcement agencies as well as the National Prosecuting Authority, to be able to then try and arrest the scourge that we're experiencing.
Right. Let's talk about the impact now this has, obviously, on residents, on yourselves as Eskom. We often hear about, power outages. Now we're going through, of course, load shedding, blackout, some term it as that. But in terms of the impact these cable, and copper theft what's the extent and the cost associated with it? Because I can imagine for yourselves, other organizations like, either Transnet, City Power, etc., having to constantly then go back and repair in these communities must be quite expensive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So on average, we're at Eskom experience per annum up to 1,200 incidents of copper cable. This equates to approximately 5.4 million rand losses per day. In total, we actually equate that to 2.4 billion rand losses per annum. To replace this copper, it actually costs us 10 to 20 times more. So this is a hugely expensive exercise. And obviously, during theft of cables, our outages are indeed prolonged, and it actually impedes our response to these incidents as well.
Is there long-term sustainable strategy moving forward in terms of preventing this from happening? I know that you have a multidisciplinary, a plan right now working alongside the JMPD, the SAPS to ensure you get to the bottom of those responsible for this. But in terms of preventing this, is there a strategy in place, long-term, sustainable, to ensure you don't have to incur this problem in the future?
Yes, so we've put in a tremendous amount of effort. Obviously, we see this as acts of economic sabotage, as it undermines the economy and also government's efforts. We've certainly internalized this particular problem and the extent to which it is impacting not just our communities and businesses, but also the broader economy. And therefore, we've now looked at a longer-term strategy in terms of possible policy changes that could address particularly the scrap metal market as well as the export spot market that are drivers for theft of cable and vandalism to infrastructure. So this would take a concerted effort between ourselves, government and other key stakeholders, but certainly plans are in place to actually drive this initiative.
All right, well, I appreciate you speaking to us this morning. Eskom Head of Security, Pillay, thank you so much for your time this morning.